I'm a scientist. I believe in evidence. I believe in data. I believe in testable, repeatable results. So when 7 unexplained marks appeared on my body overnight, my first reaction wasn't panic. It was investigation. My name is Laura. I'm a biochemistry professor. And for the past 3 weeks, I've been conducting an investigation on my own body. I took tissue samples. I ran laboratory tests, medical scans, DNA analysis, mineral composition tests. I documented everything. I recorded everything. And what I found challenged everything I thought I knew. These marks aren't normal. They're not burns. They're not wounds. They're not tattoos. These are marks left by something. The skin tissue has changed at a cellular level. The collagen structure has been reorganized. The melanin distribution shows abnormal patterns. And the strangest part, at the exact center of each mark, there are detectable radiation levels. Very low, not dangerous, but measurable radiation coming from my body. Now the question is, how is this possible? The answer, I don't know yet, but everything I'm going to show you today, every test result, every photograph, every analysis is real. And if you found similar marks on your body, maybe together we can find an answer. Because this isn't just my story, this is a phenomenon. And science hasn't caught up yet. October 23rd, 2024, Wednesday morning, 6:30 a.m. I woke up to my alarm like any normal day. I'm a creature of habit. Same wake-up times, same morning routine. I got out of bed, walked to the bathroom, started washing my face. That's when I saw the first one, a circular mark on my left forearm, about 2 centimeters in diameter, perfect circle, reddish-brown color, slightly raised. I stopped, touched it. No pain, no tenderness, just there. Strange, I thought. Maybe I bumped into something at the lab yesterday. But then I saw the second one. On my right shoulder, same size, same color, same perfect circular shape. I pulled up my shirt, another one on my abdomen. My heart started racing. This wasn't normal. I went back to my bedroom, stripped down completely, examined my entire body in the mirror. 7 marks total: left forearm, right shoulder, left abdomen, right thigh, back of my neck, left ankle, center of my back, all identical, all perfectly circular, all appearing overnight, and I had absolutely no memory of how they got there. Before I tell you what I did next, you need to understand who I am. My name is Dr. Laura Mitchell. I'm 40 years old. I've been a biochemistry professor at Colorado State University for 12 years. I specialize in cellular biology, how cells respond to external stimuli, how they repair damage, how they adapt to environmental changes. It's precise work, evidence-based work that doesn't leave room for speculation or guesswork. I grew up in a family of scientists. My father was a physicist at Los Alamos. My mother was a research chemist. Science wasn't just what we did, it was how we thought. I got my PhD from MIT in 2009. I've published 46 papers in peer-reviewed journals. My research on cellular response to radiation exposure has been cited over 3,000 times. I'm telling you this so you understand. I'm not someone who jumps to conclusions. I'm not someone who believes in things without evidence. I'm a skeptic by training and by nature, which is why what happened next was so significant, because I approached this mystery the only way I know how. With scientific method, with documentation, with rigorous analysis. The first thing I did was document. I grabbed my phone, took photographs of every mark, multiple angles, close-ups showing texture and color, wide shots showing location on my body. I noted the time, 6:42 a.m. I noted the date, October 23rd, 2024. I created a file on my laptop, started a research journal, detailed notes about discovery, physical characteristics, initial observations, Mark 1, left forearm, circular, 2.1 centimeters diameter, raised approximately 1 millimeter above surrounding skin, reddish-brown pigmentation, no pain on palpation. I did this for all 7 marks. Precise measurements, detailed descriptions. Then I tried to remember the previous night. I'd been home alone, working until about 10 p.m., made some tea, read a journal article, went to bed around 11. Normal evening, nothing unusual. But when I tried to remember anything after falling asleep, there was nothing, just blank space until my alarm went off. If that was unusual, I typically remember fragments of dreams. I'm a light sleeper. I wake up easily. But that night, complete absence of memory. I checked my bedroom. No signs of disturbance. Window locked, door locked, nothing out of place. Whatever happened while I was unconscious and left no trace except these marks. My next step was medical documentation. I called my primary care physician, Dr. Sarah Chen, explained the situation. She agreed to see me that morning. When I arrived at her office, she examined each mark carefully. These are very unusual, Laura. They're remarkably uniform, almost like they were made with some kind of precision instrument, and that's what I thought too. Have you had any medical procedures recently? Injections, biopsies? No, nothing. Any exposure to chemicals or radiation in your lab? Not that I'm aware of, and we have strict safety protocols. She measured each mark, photographed them for my medical record, pressed on them to test for pain response. No pain, no discharge, no signs of infection. I'm going to refer you to a dermatologist, she said. These need specialist evaluation. The dermatologist appointment was scheduled for 3 days later. In the meantime, I had my own investigation to conduct. I have access to the biochemistry labs at the university, state-of-the-art equipment, sophisticated testing capabilities. I knew I couldn't officially use university resources for personal medical testing, but I had colleagues, favors I could call in. Dr. James Reynolds owed me. I'd helped him with a critical experiment last year when his equipment failed. He agreed to let me use his lab after hours. First step, tissue sampling. I used a sterile biopsy punch, took a small sample from the edge of one mark on my forearm, 3 millimeters diameter, just enough for analysis. It hurt, but I've experienced worse in the name of research. I prepared the sample, preserved it properly, labeled it. Sample A, Mark 1, left forearm, October 23, 2024. Then I began the analysis. Under the microscope, the tissue told a story. I prepared thin sections, stained them to highlight different cellular structures, examined them at various magnifications. What I saw was extraordinary. The epidermal cells, the outermost layer of skin, showed abnormal organization. The keratinocytes were aligned in a pattern I'd never seen before. Normally, skin cells have a somewhat random arrangement, natural variation, but these cells were organized, almost like they'd been arranged deliberately. The dermal layer, deeper tissue, showed even more unusual features, the collagen fibers. These are the proteins that give skin its structure. They normally form a loose network, random orientation. But in the marked tissue, the collagen fibers were aligned, parallel to each other, radiating from the center of the mark in a spoke pattern. This wasn't damage, this was reorganization. Something had rearranged the cellular and molecular structure of my skin tissue. I took photographs through the microscope, documented everything. This was evidence, physical, observable, repeatable evidence. Next analysis, spectroscopy. This technique identifies the chemical composition of a sample. What elements are present? In what quantities? Normal skin tissue has a predictable composition: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, standard organic molecules. I ran the marked tissue through the spectrometer. The results took my breath away. Everything expected was there: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, all normal, but there were traces of something else. Isotopes, specific isotopes of silicon and titanium that don't occur naturally in biological tissue. I ran the test again. Same results. I checked for contamination, cleaned the equipment, ran a control sample of normal skin from my other arm. Control sample, normal composition, no unusual isotopes, marked tissue. Unusual isotopes present. These isotopes weren't from Earth, or rather they weren't from natural Earth processes. The isotope ratios were wrong. They didn't match any natural occurrence I knew of. Something had introduced these elements into my tissue. The spectroscopy results led me to test for radiation. I borrowed a Geiger counter from the physics department. Sensitive instrument capable of detecting very low-level radiation. I tested the background radiation in my apartment. Normal, 0.1 millisieverts, typical environmental background. Then I tested the marks. The Geiger counter clicked. Steady, regular clicks. 0.3 millisieverts, 3 times background radiation. Not dangerous, not even close to harmful levels, but definitely elevated. I tested each mark. All 7 showed the same elevated readings. I tested normal skin on my other arm. Normal background levels. The radiation was coming specifically from the marks, from nowhere else. I recorded video of the Geiger counter reading, documented the exact measurements. This was physical evidence, measurable, reproducible. Something had left radioactive traces on my body. 3 days after discovery, I saw Dr. Marcus Webb, the dermatologist Dr. Chen had recommended. He was thorough, professional, fascinated by the marks. In 25 years of practice, I've never seen anything quite like this. The uniformity is remarkable. He used a dermatoscope, high magnification tool for examining skin lesions. The tissue architecture is highly unusual. This isn't consistent with any dermatological condition I'm familiar with. He took his own tissue samples, sent them to a pathology lab for independent analysis. A week later, the results came back. The pathology report confirmed everything I'd found: altered cellular structure, unusual isotope presence, low-level radiation. But the conclusion was frustrating. Etiology unknown. Recommend further investigation. Dr. Webb was honest with me. Laura, I can't explain these marks. They don't match any known condition. They don't match burns. They don't match any infectious or autoimmune process. Then what do you think they are? He hesitated. Have you considered that these might be related to an experience you don't remember? What kind of experience? There's a literature, not mainstream medical literature, but case studies, people who wake up with marks like these. Unexplained marks, often accompanied by missing time. You're talking about alien abduction. He didn't confirm or deny. I'm just saying, when we exhaust conventional explanations, we have to consider unconventional ones. That night, I did something I'd resisted. I started researching alien abduction reports. Not because I believed in them, but because I needed data, patterns, comparisons. If others had experienced similar marks, I wanted to know the details. What I found was disturbing in its consistency. Thousands of reports, worldwide, different countries, different cultures, different time periods, all describing remarkably similar marks: circular, triangular, linear, geometric patterns, all painless, all appearing overnight, all with missing time, and in cases where medical testing had been done, similar findings. Altered tissue, unusual compositions, trace radiation. The patterns were too consistent to be coincidence or mass hysteria. I found researchers, serious researchers, academics who documented hundreds of cases. Dr. John Mack, professor of psychiatry at Harvard, studied over 200 abduction cases before his death. Dr. David Jacobs, professor of history at Temple University, documented extensive physical evidence. I found medical professionals who'd examined experiencers, doctors who'd taken tissue samples, found the same anomalies I'd found. This wasn't just me. This was a documented phenomenon with physical evidence spanning decades. 4 weeks after the first marks appeared, it happened again. November 19th, a Tuesday night. This time I was prepared. I'd set up surveillance, a camera in my bedroom. Motion activated, recording continuously, audio enabled. I went to bed at 10:30 p.m., read for about 20 minutes, turned off the light around 11. I woke up Wednesday morning at 6 a.m., and I knew immediately that same feeling, that discontinuity. I checked my body, 3 new marks: right forearm, left shoulder, back of my right calf, same characteristics, same size, same perfect circles. But this time I had video. I grabbed my laptop, pulled up the surveillance footage, started at 10:30 p.m., me getting into bed, reading, turning off the light, normal. The footage showed me sleeping, normal breathing, normal movement. Then at exactly 2:47 a.m., everything changed. The room filled with light, blue-white light, so bright it nearly overwhelmed the camera. Through the brightness, I could see my body. Completely still, not moving at all. The light lasted 40 seconds. Then the camera went dark. Not off, just dark. Like something was blocking the lens. The footage remained black for 3 hours and 11 minutes. At exactly 6 a.m., the darkness lifted. The camera showed my bedroom again. Me in bed. Same position. As if nothing had happened, except I had 3 new marks. I spent 2 days analyzing that footage, frame by frame, looking for any explanation. The light was real, captured on camera. Not a malfunction, not a reflection. Physical phenomenon. Measurable, documented. The camera blackout was inexplicable. The camera didn't turn off. It kept recording. The file was continuous. But for 3 hours, it recorded only darkness. I had the camera examined. No malfunction. It worked perfectly. Something had blocked the lens, or blocked the light from reaching the lens. But there was nothing visible in the room that could have done that. Around this time, I started having dreams. Vivid dreams, more like memories than typical dreams. I'd wake up with images, sensations, fragments, blue-white light. That was consistent. Always that blue-white light. Paralysis, unable to move, but conscious, aware. Figures, small figures, standing around my bed. At first, I dismissed them as anxiety dreams, my subconscious processing stress. But the dreams were too consistent, too detailed. I started writing them down, documenting every fragment immediately upon waking. The figures had large heads, large eyes, completely black eyes, gray beings, exactly what people describe in abduction accounts. The similarities were impossible to ignore. 6 weeks after the first marks, I made a decision. I was going to publish my findings, not in a peer-reviewed journal. They'd never accept it. Too controversial, but I could document everything publicly. Share the evidence. Let other scientists examine it. I created a comprehensive report, photographs of the marks, microscopy images, spectroscopy results, radiation measurements, surveillance footage, everything. I titled it simply, Unexplained Dermal Marks with Unusual Physical Properties, a case study and call for investigation. I published it on ResearchGate under my real name, full credentials listed, Dr. Laura Mitchell, Ph.D., Associate Professor of Biochemistry, Colorado State University. Within 24 hours, 10,000 views. Within a week, over 100,000. The responses were immediate and polarized. Some colleagues were supportive. Dr. Mitchell, this is fascinating. We need more rigorous investigation of these phenomena. Others were hostile. This is pseudoscience. You're damaging your professional reputation. Remove this immediately. The university administration contacted me. Laura, we need to talk about this publication. It's causing concern. I was called into a meeting with the department chair. Your research is bringing unwanted attention to the department. We're getting complaints from donors. Other faculty are uncomfortable. I'm documenting physical evidence. That's what scientists do. But this subject matter, alien abduction, it's not appropriate for academic research. I'm not claiming alien abduction. I'm documenting unexplained physical phenomena. There's a difference. The message was clear. Retract the publication or face consequences. I refused. The most valuable responses came from other people with similar marks. Dr. Mitchell, I have identical marks. I've had them tested. Same results you found. Dr. Mitchell, I'm a physician. I've documented 8 patients with similar marks. Dr. Mitchell, I'm a materials scientist. Those isotope ratios don't occur naturally on Earth. Within 2 weeks, I'd been contacted by over 50 people, all with similar experiences, all with physical evidence. We started sharing data, comparing results. The patterns were undeniable. All had circular or geometric marks. All had missing time. All had similar tissue analysis results. Many had surveillance footage showing the same blue-white light. This wasn't isolated incidents. This was systematic, worldwide, consistent. The most important contact came from Dr. Robert Hayes. He was a physicist at Stanford, studying anomalous phenomena for 15 years. Dr. Mitchell, I've been documenting cases like yours since 2009. I have a database of over 300 individuals with similar marks. 300 people, all documented, all with evidence. He invited me to collaborate, share data, compare findings. I agreed immediately. Dr. Hayes' database was extraordinary. 312 documented cases, all with photographs, all with medical documentation. The data showed clear patterns, geographic clusters. Certain areas had higher incidence. Colorado was one of them. Temporal patterns. Certain times of year showed spikes. October through December. Peak activity. Demographic patterns. 68% were women. 72% had science, medical, or educational backgrounds. This wasn't random. There was selection happening, intelligent selection. Dr. Elena Vasquez joined our research team. She was a geneticist from Barcelona. She'd been analyzing DNA from marked tissue across 40 cases. What she found was extraordinary. Genetic modifications, subtle but consistent, in non-coding DNA regions. The modifications were identical across all cases. Same genes, same changes. These aren't natural mutations, she explained. These are precise edits, like gene therapy, but more advanced than anything we can do. What genes are being modified? Genes related to neural development, sensory processing, cognitive function. What would that do? Theoretically, enhance neurological capabilities, improve sensory acuity, increase cognitive processing. They're not just marking us, they're modifying us. 8 weeks after the first marks, I started noticing changes. My vision improved. I'd worn reading glasses for 5 years. Suddenly didn't need them. I could see details I'd never noticed. Fine print from across the room, individual leaves on trees from a distance. My hearing sharpened. I could hear conversations from far away. Electrical humming I'd never noticed before. And something else. Intuition. Knowing. In my lab, I'd know which experiments would work before running them. I'd know when equipment would malfunction before it happened. My graduate students noticed. Dr. Mitchell, how did you predict that result? How did you know the calibration was off? I didn't have answers. I just knew. I documented these changes. Vision tests, hearing tests, kept detailed records. Whatever created those marks had also changed something fundamental in my neurology. In December, the university put me on administrative leave, unpaid leave, pending review of my professional conduct. The official reason: pursuing research inconsistent with academic standards. The real reason: I documented something they didn't want associated with their institution. I appealed. The appeal was denied. 2 weeks later, I was officially terminated. 20 years of academic career, 46 publications, 12 years of teaching, gone. Because I documented evidence that challenged conventional understanding. December 7th, 3 months after the first marks, it happened again. But this time was different. I woke up during it, or I was allowed to remain conscious. I'm not sure which. The blue-white light, the paralysis, the figures, but I was aware, fully conscious, able to observe. They were exactly as I'd remembered in dream fragments. Small, maybe 4 feet tall, large heads, those enormous black eyes. One moved closer. I heard a voice. Not audible. Mental. You are remembering now, Laura. Your consciousness is integrating the experiences. Who are you? I asked mentally. What are you doing? We are researchers, like you. We study biological systems, and we modify them for mutual benefit. What benefit? Your species is approaching transition. Evolutionary opportunity. We enhance selected individuals. You become bridges, guides for others. Why me? Your scientific training, your analytical mind, your ability to document and communicate. You were identified as suitable. The room began to shift, or maybe I was being moved. I couldn't tell. Next conscious moment, I was somewhere else. A large space, curved walls, seamless gray surfaces, light emanating from the walls themselves. Other humans were there, maybe 15 of them, all standing, all looking confused. Welcome, a voice said. Multiple voices, speaking as one. You have been selected, modified, enhanced. You will help guide your species through transition. Images filled my mind, not on screens, directly in consciousness, Earth from space, beautiful and fragile. 2 possible futures, one showing thriving civilization, advanced technology, humanity united, expanded into space, another showing collapse. Environmental devastation, war, fragmentation, Both possible, the voice said. The path is not determined. Those we enhance will influence which future manifests. How, someone asked? By raising consciousness, by teaching others, by demonstrating expanded capabilities, by being living proof that evolution is possible. Time is short. The transition point approaches. Within one generation, those we prepare now will determine humanity's path. The space began to fade. Remember this, document this. When others are ready, teach them. I woke in my bed. Morning light, 6 a.m., December 8th. 3 new marks. Right shoulder, left hip, right ankle, but this time, full memory. Clear consciousness, complete recall. I immediately grabbed my laptop, started writing everything I'd experienced, every detail, while it was fresh. 6 single-spaced pages, complete account. This wasn't dream, wasn't false memory. This was conscious experience. And I had physical evidence to correlate. New marks appeared during the time of reported contact. This was the kind of evidence science demands. Replicable, observable, documented. Today, 3 months after the first marks, I continue my investigation. I've lost my academic position, but gained a mission. 17 marks total, all documented, all analyzed, connected with over 300 other experiencers. All with similar evidence. We're building a comprehensive database, sharing research, publishing openly. I don't have all the answers, but I have evidence. Physical, measurable, reproducible evidence. And for those of you who've found similar marks, who've experienced missing time, who've questioned your own experiences, you're not alone, you're not crazy, and you have more evidence than you realize. Document everything, test everything, share everything, because this is real. It's happening, and science needs to catch up. My investigation continues. Every new incident brings new data, and I will keep documenting, keep analyzing, keep sharing, because this might be the most important discovery of our time. After losing my academic position, I had a choice to make. Give up, retract my research, try to salvage what was left of my career, or double down. Commit fully to this investigation, accept the professional consequences. I chose the latter. Within a week of my termination, I received an unexpected email. Dr. Mitchell, my name is Margaret Chen. I'm a private donor interested in funding research that mainstream institutions won't touch. I've read your work. I'd like to offer you a grant. The amount she offered was substantial, enough to set up a private laboratory, enough to continue research for at least 2 years. I accepted. By mid-January, I had a small lab space in downtown Fort Collins. Nothing fancy, but adequate microscopes, spectroscopy equipment, basic molecular biology tools, and I had time, full time, dedicated to investigation. Dr. Hayes put me in contact with other researchers in our network. Dr. Patricia Klein, neurologist from Boston, studying cognitive changes in experiencers. Dr. James Torres, immunologist from Miami, analyzing immune system modifications. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, molecular biologist from Osaka, mapping genetic changes across populations. We formed a collaborative research group, sharing data, publishing through independent channels, building evidence base, January 23rd, 4 months after the first marks. It happened again, but this time I was prepared mentally and technically. I'd refined my surveillance setup. Multiple cameras, different angles, backup power supplies. The incident occurred at 2:37 a.m., same blue-white light, same camera interference, but one camera, battery-powered and shielded, kept recording. Blurry, distorted, but it captured something. Shapes, figures moving around my bed, not clear enough for definitive identification, but clear enough to confirm. Something physical was in my room. 3 new marks appeared. Left shoulder, right side of abdomen, left forearm, 20 marks total now, across 4 incidents. But here's what I noticed. The marks weren't random. I plotted them on a body diagram, connected them in sequence. They formed geometric patterns. Triangles, squares, specific ratios. I measured the distances between marks, calculated the angles, golden ratio, phi, 1.618, appearing repeatedly. These weren't just sampling sites, they were mathematical messages, encoded in the placement on human bodies. February brought something I'd been both anticipating and dreading. A private gathering of experiencers, 20 people, all with documented marks, all with evidence. The meeting was held at a private residence outside Denver. Security was tight, no media, no outsiders. Walking into that room was surreal. Sarah Martinez, nurse from Montana, 9 contacts, 19 marks, developing healing abilities that defied medical explanation. Michael Torres, structural engineer from Houston, 7 contacts, 14 marks, suddenly able to visualize complex mathematical patterns he'd never studied. Yuki Nakamura, high school teacher from Sacramento, 5 contacts, 10 marks, enhanced empathic abilities that let her sense students' emotional states with uncanny accuracy. Rebecca Stone, software engineer from Seattle, 6 contacts, 12 marks, writing code in programming languages she'd never learned. Each person had been changed, enhanced, in ways related to their profession or natural abilities. The nurses developed healing capabilities. The engineers developed enhanced spatial reasoning. The teachers developed deeper understanding of learning processes. The programmers developed intuitive understanding of complex systems. It wasn't random enhancement, it was targeted, intentional, optimized. For 3 days, we shared everything: photographs of marks, medical documentation, test results, surveillance footage, personal experiences. Patterns emerged that none of us had seen individually. Geographic clustering. We created a map, marked every known case. Clear clusters appeared: Colorado, Northern California, Pacific Northwest, Northeast Corridor, specific regions showing high concentration. Temporal patterns. We plotted every incident by date and time. Peaks appeared: October through December, February through April, specific windows of increased activity. Demographic patterns became even clearer: 71% women, 78% with higher education, 84% in helping professions or technical fields. Selection criteria: clear as day. They were choosing specific types of people for specific purposes. Dr. Patricia Klein presented research that tied everything together. She'd been conducting cognitive testing on experiencers: standard IQ tests, memory tests, pattern recognition, processing speed. The results were extraordinary. Average IQ increase of 18 points post-contact across all subjects tested, enhanced memory, particularly visual memory and detail recall, improved pattern recognition, especially in complex systems, faster processing speed, particularly in analytical tasks. These aren't random changes, she explained. These are targeted cognitive enhancements, like upgrading computer hardware. Dr. Torres presented his immunology findings: immune system modifications, more efficient antibody production, enhanced inflammatory response regulation, improved cellular repair mechanisms, experiencers get sick less often, heal faster from injuries, show reduced markers of aging. Dr. Tanaka showed the genetic analysis: specific genes modified consistently across all subjects. Genes related to neuroplasticity, synaptic density, telomere maintenance, mitochondrial efficiency. We're not just being marked, I said. We're being upgraded, systematically, deliberately. The question is why. That evening, 20 of us sat in a circle, shared theories, tried to make sense of the data. Sarah spoke first. They told me I was being prepared, that humanity was approaching a transition, that I would help guide others through it. Michael nodded. Same message, almost identical wording. Evolutionary transition, critical juncture, Yuki added. They said time was short. 1 generation, maybe less. The consistency was remarkable. Different contexts, different locations, different times, but the same core message: humanity approaching transition. Selected individuals being prepared, enhanced to serve as guides or bridges. Dr. Hayes pulled up a presentation. He'd been researching historical patterns. Throughout human history, there are periods of rapid advancement, sudden leaps in technology, philosophy, social organization. Ancient Greece, the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution, the digital age. What if these leaps weren't entirely organic? What if they were facilitated? He showed historical accounts, ancient texts describing beings from the sky, teaching agriculture, mathematics, astronomy, governance. Every culture has these stories: teachers from the stars, gods who came down, beings who shared knowledge. What if contact has been ongoing for thousands of years and we're living through another acceleration period? The room was silent, processing. It made sense. Disturbing sense, but sense nonetheless. February 15th, 5 months since first contact. It happened again, but this time the experience was longer, deeper, more communicative. I remained conscious throughout, fully aware, able to engage. The beings were less mysterious now, familiar. I'd seen them 5 times before. One approached, the voice clear in my mind. Laura, you understand now. The modifications, the enhancements, the purpose. I understand you're changing us. I don't understand why. Show. Don't tell. Would you like to see? Images flooded my mind, not words, direct transfer of understanding. I saw Earth, not from space, from a temporal perspective. Timeline stretching forward, 2 possible futures. I'd seen them before, but now with more detail. Future 1, humanity united, technology advanced but harmonious, environmental restoration, expansion into solar system, contact with other civilizations. Thriving. Future 2, collapse, environmental catastrophe, resource wars, population crash, dark age lasting centuries. Survival but not thriving. The branch point, the moment of decision, 20 to 30 years from now. Which path manifests depends on collective human consciousness. How many are awake? How many understand unity versus separation? Those we enhance serve as consciousness catalysts. You raise the frequency around you. Others entrain to your elevated state. Network effects amplify. How many are needed? Current human population, 8 billion. Critical mass, approximately 8 million enhanced individuals. 1/10 of 1%. How many now? Currently 3.1 million activated, accelerating, target reachable within 12 years. What happens at critical mass? Consciousness shift becomes inevitable, self-perpetuating, like nuclear chain reaction. Once started, propagates through entire population, and if you don't reach critical mass, then this window closes. Opportunity lost, humanity faces collapse. Survivors must wait for next evolutionary window. Centuries or millennia later, the stakes were clear, species-level stakes, extinction or evolution. March brought systematic testing of my enhanced abilities. Dr. Klein conducted comprehensive cognitive assessment. IQ test results 154, previously 136, 18-point increase. Memory testing, visual memory especially enhanced. Nearly photographic recall of complex images. Pattern recognition, scored in 99th percentile. Previously 80th, processing speed significantly faster. Complex problems solved in fraction of previous time. Dr. Torres tested my immune function, antibody production, elevated, more efficient response to antigens, inflammatory markers, reduced, better regulation, cellular repair, enhanced, faster healing from minor injuries. But the most interesting tests were the ones measuring abilities that shouldn't exist. Precognition testing. Dr. Klein used random number generators, asked me to predict outcomes. Chance would be 50% accuracy. I scored 73% across 200 trials, statistically impossible by chance. Probability less than 1 in a million. Remote viewing, shown photographs of locations I'd never seen, asked to describe details. Accuracy rate, 68% for specific details. Again, far beyond chance. Telepathy testing. Dr. Klein thought of specific images. I attempted to receive them. Success rate, 41% exact matches, another 32% close matches, combined. 73% accuracy. These abilities shouldn't exist according to mainstream science, but they did. Measurable, repeatable, documented. March 23rd, I made a decision that would change everything, and I was going to go fully public, not just research papers, media, interviews, full disclosure. Dr. Hayes warned me, Laura, this will bring intense scrutiny, ridicule, attacks on your credibility. I know, but the evidence is too strong. The implications too important. People need to know. I contacted journalists, reputable ones, those willing to examine evidence seriously. 3 agreed to interview me, a podcaster with science focus, a documentary filmmaker, a journalist from a major newspaper. The podcast interview went first. 2 hours, detailed discussion of evidence, test results, surveillance footage. Within a week, 500,000 downloads, comments flooded in, mix of support and skepticism. But engagement was massive. The newspaper article published next. Front page of the Sunday Science section. Scientist claims physical evidence of extraterrestrial contact. The article was fair. Presented my evidence, included skeptical perspectives. Let readers decide. Response was enormous. My email inbox filled with hundreds of messages daily. Half were supportive, people sharing their own experiences, thanking me for speaking up. Quarter were hostile, calling me delusional, demanding I seek psychiatric help. Quarter were from other scientists, some supportive, some curious, some offering collaboration. The backlash was swift and brutal. Scientific American published an op-ed, The Danger of Pseudoscience in Academia. Didn't name me directly, but clear who they meant. When scientists abandon rigorous methodology in pursuit of sensational claims, they undermine public trust in science itself. Online skeptic communities targeted me. Videos debunking my claims, threads dissecting my evidence, accusations of fraud. The worst came from former colleagues. Dr. Stephen Phillips, who I'd worked with for 8 years, published a response. I am deeply disappointed by Dr. Mitchell's recent descent into pseudoscientific speculation. Her claims are not supported by credible evidence and represent an abandonment of scientific principles. That hurt more than the anonymous attacks. Someone I'd respected, colleague, friend, but I also received unexpected support. Dr. Gary Nolan, professor at Stanford, respected immunologist, publicly stated that my evidence deserved serious investigation. Dr. Avi Loeb, Harvard astrophysicist, said my approach was scientifically sound and that dismissal without examination was unscientific. These endorsements mattered, gave credibility, showed I wasn't alone in thinking this deserved investigation. April 7th, 6 months since first contact. This incident was the longest, most detailed, most revealing. I was conscious throughout. 4 hours subjective time aboard the craft. The interior was extraordinary. Not metal, not mechanical, organic, alive somehow. Walls that responded to touch, changed color, changed texture, like they were part of a living system. Technology I couldn't understand. Devices with no visible buttons or controls. Operated by thought, by intention. Other humans there, maybe 30, from different parts of the world, different ages, different backgrounds. We were being taught. Not through lectures, through direct information transfer. Touch. Telepathy, images appearing directly in consciousness, I learned about their species, their history, their perspective on humanity. They'd been watching Earth for thousands of years, observing human development, occasionally intervening, subtly, carefully, guiding without controlling. They'd contacted previous civilizations, ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, Mesoamerica, always during critical transition points. Now humanity faced its biggest transition yet. Technological capability had outpaced wisdom. We could destroy ourselves or transcend. The choice was ours. Their role was preparation, enhancement, seeding human population with activated individuals, creating a network of higher consciousness. When enough humans operated from elevated awareness, critical mass would trigger species-wide shift. Like yeast in dough, a small percentage of activated yeast triggers fermentation throughout the entire batch. We were the yeast, the catalyst, the activated ones who would trigger wider awakening. One of the most profound revelations was about time itself. The beings experienced time differently. Not linearly like humans, more fluidly. They showed me, made me experience it. Suddenly I could perceive past, present, and future simultaneously. Not as separate moments, but as one unified structure. I saw my own timeline. From birth to death, all at once, I saw the branch points, moments where different choices led to different futures. And I saw the probability waves, the likelihood of different outcomes based on collective human choices. The positive future, where humanity thrived, had a 38% probability based on current trajectory. The collapsed future had a 41% probability. The remaining 21% were variations between these extremes. The numbers weren't fixed. They shifted constantly based on collective human consciousness and choices. Every person who awakened, every person who chose love over fear, unity over separation, cooperation over competition, each choice shifted the probabilities, incrementally, but measurably. We weren't helpless observers. We were active participants, co-creators of the future. The beings were tipping the scales, increasing the probability of positive outcomes, but they couldn't force the result. Free will was absolute. Humanity had to choose its own path. I woke in my bed. April 8th, 10 a.m., 6 hours of missing time objectively, 4 hours subjectively, time dilation significant, 3 new marks, right thigh, left shoulder blade, right side of neck, 23 marks total. But more importantly, I had knowledge, deep understanding, not just intellectual, cellular, integrated. I understood the purpose now, the plan, the urgency, the timeline. 12 years to reach critical mass, 12 years to shift probability toward positive future. And I understood my role. Document, share, teach, awaken others. Not through proselytizing, through example, through evidence, through demonstration. Live from elevated consciousness. Others will notice, will ask, will open. That's how consciousness spreads. Through resonance, through attraction, through authentic demonstration. By May, our research network had grown substantially. Over 500 documented cases now, all with physical evidence, all sharing data. We created a comprehensive database, searchable, categorized, available to researchers, marks photographed and cataloged, over 3,000 individual marks across 500 experiencers, medical documentation, tissue analysis, genetic testing, cognitive assessments, immune function tests, surveillance footage, over 200 separate incidents captured on video, showing the lights, the anomalies, the physical phenomena. This wasn't anecdotal evidence anymore. This was comprehensive scientific data. We published everything online, open access, free to download, transparent methodology. Other scientists started examining our data, some looking to debunk, some genuinely curious. Gradually, credibility built, not with everyone, but with enough serious researchers that dismissal became harder. June brought a new phase, teaching experiencers who'd been contacted but didn't understand, who were frightened, confused, isolated. They found our network, hundreds of them, reaching out, seeking understanding. I started conducting online sessions, video conferences, explaining the phenomenon, sharing evidence, offering support, not telling people what to believe, but showing them data, patterns, helping them understand their own experiences. Many had marks they'd dismissed, unusual abilities they'd suppressed, memories they'd rationalized away. I taught them what I'd learned. Document everything, test everything, trust your experience. You're not crazy, you're not alone, and what's happening to you is real. The relief in their faces, the gratitude, the validation. This was worth everything I'd lost, every attack, every professional consequence, because I was helping people understand the most significant experience of their lives. July, Dr. Hayes and I published a comprehensive paper, Physical Evidence of Non-Human Biological Intervention, Analysis of 523 Cases with Documented Anomalous Dermal Marks, co-authored by 12 researchers, peer-reviewed by sympathetic scientists, published in an independent open-access journal, not Nature or Science. They'd never accept it, but legitimate publication nonetheless. The paper was thorough, 80 pages, extensive data, statistical analysis, photographs, test results, key findings. 523 documented cases showing remarkably consistent physical marks. Tissue analysis across 214 samples showing identical cellular modifications. Genetic analysis across 68 samples showing consistent targeted modifications. Surveillance footage from 83 cases showing anomalous light phenomena. Cognitive testing showing consistent enhancement patterns across 97 subjects. The evidence was overwhelming, not proof of alien intervention necessarily, but proof of anomalous phenomenon requiring investigation. Within a month, over 50,000 downloads, academic citations beginning to appear, not mainstream acceptance, but undeniable presence in scientific literature. August 3rd, 7 months since first contact. This incident felt different, final somehow, completion of a cycle. Conscious throughout, aboard the craft, 4.5 hours. This time, integration. Everything I'd learned across previous contacts synthesized. You understand now, the voice said. The purpose, the process, the urgency, the timeline. I do. Your modifications are complete, your enhancements are stable, your consciousness is integrated. What now? Now you teach, now you demonstrate, now you help others awaken. How will I know what to do? You will know. Intuition will guide you. We remain accessible through meditation. Through intention, you can reach us when needed. Will you contact me again physically? Not necessary. You have everything you need. Physical contact serves primarily for initial modification and activation. You are activated. 3 marks appeared. Center of chest, crown of head, base of spine. 26 marks total. 7 incidents, 26 marks. Full activation complete. September brought stabilization of all enhanced abilities. The cognitive improvements plateaued. IQ steady at 154. Memory enhanced but stable. Processing speed significantly faster but consistent. The physical enhancements integrated. Vision optimized. Hearing enhanced. Immune function elevated. Healing accelerated. The intuitive abilities became reliable. Precognition averaging 70% accuracy. Remote viewing 65%. Telepathy occasional but present. Most significantly, consciousness itself had expanded. I experience reality differently now, more expansively, more interconnected. I could sense the consciousness field around me, the thoughts and emotions of nearby people, not reading minds exactly, more like sensing emotional and mental atmospheres. I could perceive probability fields, multiple possible futures branching from present moment, not with perfect clarity, but with enough awareness to make better choices. I felt connected to something larger, not losing individual identity, but recognizing that individual consciousness exists within collective consciousness. Like waves on an ocean, each wave is distinct, but all waves are expressions of the one ocean. This was the shift the beings had described, from separated self to connected self, from isolated awareness to unified awareness. And it was stable, integrated, natural. This was the new baseline of my consciousness. Fall semester. Though I no longer taught at university, my research intensified, working with Hayes, Dr. Klein, an expanding team of investigators. We'd documented over 800 cases now, physical evidence growing exponentially. Pattern analysis showed global phenomenon, every continent except Antarctica, all socioeconomic levels, all ethnicities, but clear demographic skewing, still predominantly women, still predominantly educated, still predominantly in helping or technical professions. The beings were selecting carefully, strategically, for maximum impact. We estimated global population of experiencers at over 5 million, if our sample was representative. 5 million out of 8 billion, not yet critical mass, but approaching. Acceleration was evident, more contacts reported each month than the previous month. Consistent exponential growth curve. At current rate, 8 million would be reached by 2036, exactly 12 years from my first contact. The timeline was real, the urgency was justified. October, 1 year since my first marks. I reflected on everything that had changed. Lost my academic career, gained a mission, lost professional status, gained purpose, lost comfortable certainty, gained profound understanding. The trade was worth it. I knew what was coming, not with perfect clarity, but with sufficient awareness. Humanity faced a critical transition. Next 10 to 15 years, species-level choice point. Those of us who'd been contacted were being prepared to guide others through transition, not as leaders, as way showers. Examples, bridges, we couldn't force awakening, but we could demonstrate what awakened consciousness looked like, how it functioned, what it made possible, and gradually others would notice, would ask, would open, would awaken. Network effects would amplify, critical mass would be reached, shift would become inevitable. This was the plan, the hope, the probability we were working toward. Whether humanity would choose this path remained uncertain. Free will was absolute, but we were doing everything possible to increase the likelihood, one awakened person at a time, one documented case at a time, one shared piece of evidence at a time, building toward critical mass, building toward transformation. November brought something unprecedented, a private conference of experiencer researchers, 50 scientists from 12 countries, all studying the same phenomenon from different angles. The conference was held at a private estate in New Mexico. Security was extraordinary. No media, no recording devices except for official documentation. For 4 days, we presented data, compared methodologies, debated interpretations. Dr. Hayes opened with the global database, now over 1,000 documented cases, physical evidence across 6 continents. Dr. Klein presented neurological findings, consistent cognitive enhancements across 140 subjects tested. Dr. Vasquez showed genetic analysis. Modifications present in 80% of tissue samples analyzed. Same genes, same alterations. Dr. Torres presented immunological data. Enhanced immune function in 92% of subjects with sufficient testing. I presented the timeline analysis. Contact frequency accelerating, exponential growth curve pointing toward critical mass within 12 years. The evidence was overwhelming. This wasn't isolated incidents. This was systematic global phenomenon. The only question remaining, what was our responsibility as scientists documenting this? The conference erupted into passionate debate. One faction argued for immediate full public disclosure, hold press conferences, contact government agencies, demand mainstream scientific investigation. Another faction urged caution, gradual disclosure, building credibility first, avoiding mass panic or ridicule. A third faction advocated continuing current approach. Document thoroughly, publish in independent channels, let evidence speak for itself. I found myself aligned with the third approach. We're not ready for full mainstream disclosure, I argued. The evidence is strong but still contested. Premature push could trigger backlash that sets us back years. Better to continue building comprehensive evidence base, documenting more cases, conducting more rigorous testing, publishing in multiple channels. When the evidence becomes undeniable, mainstream science will be forced to acknowledge it. But we have to reach that threshold first. After hours of debate, consensus emerged. Continue current strategy, but accelerate documentation efforts. Coordinate research across teams. Aim for publication in mainstream journals within 2 years. Not sensational disclosure. Methodical scientific presentation. December marked 1 year since my conscious contact aboard the craft. The changes were now completely integrated. No longer felt like enhancements, just natural capabilities. Enhanced vision was normal now. Enhanced hearing was normal. Intuitive knowing was normal. I'd adapted. This was simply how I experienced reality now. But I noticed something else. The way I affected others had changed. People around me seemed calmer, more centered, more thoughtful. Students I tutored learned faster, understood concepts more deeply. People I counseled through their own contact experiences reported feeling more peaceful after our conversations. I wasn't doing anything specific, just being present. But something about my presence affected others positively. Dr. Klein had a theory. You're operating from elevated consciousness frequency. Others entrain to your frequency when they're near you. Like tuning forks, resonating. This is how the shift spreads, not through teaching or convincing. Through resonance, through energetic influence. You're a walking consciousness catalyst now. 1 year since finding the first marks. Time to reflect. What had I lost? Academic position, professional status, comfortable certainty about reality. What had I gained? Purpose, understanding, connection to something vastly larger than myself, enhanced abilities, expanded consciousness, role in humanity's evolution, community of fellow experiencers, network of researchers, mission that mattered. The trade was absolutely worth it. I wouldn't go back, couldn't go back, not after seeing what I'd seen, understanding what I understood. January 5th, year 2, 14 months since first contact, another incident, but this time with a specific purpose, teaching. I was brought aboard with 5 other experiencers. All of us fully conscious, all previously contacted multiple times. This session was about technique, how to help others awaken, how to facilitate consciousness expansion. We were shown methods, not mystical, practical, grounded, how to help people process their experiences without trauma, how to teach meditation and consciousness expansion techniques, how to guide others through fear into understanding, how to demonstrate enhanced abilities without ego or sensationalism, how to build communities of awakened individuals. We were being trained, not just modified, trained to serve as teachers and facilitators. 3 marks appeared, right wrist, left ankle, behind left ear, 29 marks total. The training continued, February. With funding from private donors, we established a formal organization, the Institute for Contact Studies, nonprofit research organization dedicated to rigorous scientific investigation of contact phenomena. Board of directors, 12 scientists, all with relevant credentials, all with personal experience or extensive research background. Mission statement: to document, analyze, and understand the physical and psychological effects of reported contact with non-human intelligence, to provide support and education for experiencers, to advance scientific understanding through transparent research and open data sharing. We rented office space, hired administrative staff, set up a proper laboratory, created a formal database, searchable, categorized, secure, but accessible to approved researchers. Launched a website, professional, evidence-based, no sensationalism, just data and analysis. Within a month, we'd been contacted by over 300 new experiencers, all seeking support, all willing to contribute to research. The network was growing, rapidly, organically. March through June, I conducted training workshops, not for general public, for experiencers, those who'd been contacted and were ready to help others, teaching them what I'd learned: documentation methods, analysis techniques, how to recognize genuine experiences versus false memories or psychological phenomena, how to provide support without imposing interpretation, how to help people integrate experiences constructively, how to teach consciousness expansion techniques safely. We trained 40 people over 4 months. They became regional contacts, resources for newly awakened experiencers. The network was becoming infrastructure, support system, educational framework, preparing for what was coming. July brought unexpected mainstream validation, a paper published in Nature, not about contact directly, but about anomalous biological modifications in human tissue samples. The researchers had obtained samples independently, experiencers who'd gone to conventional doctors. Tissue archived in pathology labs, the researchers weren't studying contact phenomena, they were studying unusual cellular modifications. They found patterns, consistent changes across multiple samples, and their findings matched our data exactly. The paper didn't mention aliens or contact, just documented unexplained biological modifications requiring further investigation. But the scientific community noticed, because the modifications matched what we'd been reporting for 2 years. Suddenly, our research wasn't fringe, it was relevant to mainstream scientific questions. Doors began opening, conversations with mainstream researchers who'd previously dismissed us, inquiries from journals about publishing our data. Not full acceptance, but beginning of dialogue. August 15th, 18 months since first contact. One final physical contact, closure of the intensive phase, aboard the craft, conscious, clear communication. Laura, your training is complete, your modifications are stable, your consciousness is integrated, your mission is clear. I understand. You are now a teacher, a facilitator, a bridge. Others will come to you, drawn by resonance. You will know what to share, what to teach, how to guide. Will you contact me again? We are always accessible through meditation and intention. Physical contact is no longer necessary. You have direct access to collective consciousness field. What about others? How many more will you contact? Contact continues globally. Accelerating current count, 5.8 million individuals at various stages of activation. Target of 8 million achievable by 2036. And then critical mass triggers collective shift, not sudden, gradual, but inevitable once threshold is crossed. Humanity transforms, consciousness expands, your species graduates. Graduates to what? To next level of existence. Galactic community, multidimensional awareness, full potential realized. 2 final marks appeared, center of forehead, base of skull, 31 marks total, physical contact phase complete. September, everything stabilized at new baseline, all abilities fully integrated and reliable, consciousness expanded and stable, purpose clear and compelling. I no longer felt like Laura, the biochemistry professor who had something strange happen to her. I felt like Laura, the bridge, the facilitator, the way shower. This was my identity now, not imposed, chosen, embraced, and it felt right, natural, aligned. October, 2 years since first marks, our research had reached critical mass of its own. Over 2,000 documented cases, comprehensive physical evidence, published papers in multiple journals. Mainstream scientists were beginning to engage seriously. Not all, but enough that dismissal was no longer the default response. We'd shifted the conversation from "this can't be real" to "this requires investigation." Not victory, but progress, significant progress. November, I began teaching formally again, not at university, through the Institute, online courses. For experiencers, for researchers, for anyone genuinely seeking understanding, not about believing in aliens, about understanding consciousness, about recognizing enhancement, about developing latent capabilities. Hundreds enrolled from dozens of countries. The network was becoming global movement. December, 2 years since conscious contact aboard craft. I'd learned to perceive probability fields more clearly, to sense the trajectory of possible futures. The positive future, where humanity thrived, had shifted from 38% to 46% probability. 8% increase in 2 years. The work was making a difference. Measurable difference, not guaranteed success, but improved odds, better trajectory. The effort was working. January, beginning of year 3. The institute was thriving, research continuing, network expanding, education reaching thousands. I'd found my place, my purpose, my contribution. Not everyone believed, not everyone would. That was okay. Those ready to awaken would awaken. Those ready to understand would understand. We were building the infrastructure, creating the support systems, documenting the evidence, preparing humanity for the transition to come. Today, 2 years and 3 months since my first marks appeared, 31 marks on my body, permanent record of the transformation I've undergone, over 3,000 experiencers documented in our database, physical evidence beyond denial, probability of positive future still climbing, now at 48%, critical mass still 12 years away. But acceleration continuing, the mission is clear. Document, support, teach, facilitate, help as many people as possible awaken to their full potential. Raise collective consciousness one person at a time. Build toward critical mass. Build toward transformation. If you're watching this because you found unexplained marks on your body, here's what you need to know. You're not alone. Over 5 million people worldwide have been contacted. You're not crazy. This is real, physical, measurable. You've been selected, enhanced, prepared for a role in humanity's evolution. Document everything. Photograph your marks, note dates and times, keep detailed records, get medical documentation if possible. Tissue analysis if you can access it, connect with others. Find support networks. Don't carry this alone. Understand that you've been given gifts, enhanced capabilities, expanded consciousness. Learn to use these gifts, not for ego, for service, for helping others. You're part of something vast, important, transformational. Embrace it. Step into your role. Become the bridge you were designed to be. If you're a scientist watching this, skeptical but curious, here's my invitation. Look at the evidence. Actually look at it. Don't dismiss without examination. We have over 2,000 documented cases, comprehensive physical evidence, test results, surveillance footage. It's available, accessible, transparent. Apply scientific method. Document, analyze, verify. If you find flaws in our methodology, point them out. We welcome critique. If you find our data compelling, join the investigation. This is the most important scientific question of our time. The nature of consciousness. The reality of non-human intelligence, the potential for human enhancement and evolution. It deserves rigorous investigation, not dismissal, not ridicule, investigation. Be the scientist who had the courage to look, to really look. The evidence is waiting. If you're watching this as someone without marks, without contact, but sensing that something significant is happening in the world, you're right. Humanity is approaching a critical juncture, evolutionary opportunity. You don't need contact to participate. You don't need marks to contribute. Every person who chooses consciousness over unconsciousness matters. Every person who chooses love over fear, unity over separation, cooperation over competition. Every person who works to expand their awareness, develop their capabilities, serve something larger than self. You're part of the shift. You're contributing to the probability of positive future. The awakening isn't something that happens to you. It's something you choose. Every day, every moment, choose awareness, choose growth, choose service. That's how we reach critical mass. That's how we transform together. 10 years remain until 2036, when critical mass should be reached. 10 years for 8 million people to be activated. 10 years for consciousness to rise sufficiently that collective shift becomes inevitable. 10 years to determine which future manifests. Thriving or collapse, it's not predetermined. Free will is absolute. Outcome uncertain. But probability can be influenced by choices, by awareness, by commitment. We have 10 years to get this right. Let's not waste them. I commit to continuing this work for the next 10 years and beyond. Documenting, researching, teaching, facilitating, helping as many people as possible awaken to their full potential, supporting those who've been contacted, training those ready to teach others, building the infrastructure for transition. This is my life's work now. Not what I planned, but what I was prepared for. I accept it, embrace it, commit to it fully. This is my invitation to you. Join us in whatever capacity resonates. If you're an experiencer, connect with the network. Share your data, contribute to research. If you're a researcher, examine the evidence. Apply your expertise, help us understand. If you're someone seeking to awaken, learn the techniques. Develop your capabilities, expand your consciousness. If you're someone who just wants to help, spread awareness, share information, support the mission. However you can contribute, your participation matters. We need millions to reach critical mass. Every person counts. Despite the challenges, despite the skepticism, despite the uncertainty, I have hope, deep hope. Not naive optimism, grounded hope based on evidence. The probability of positive future is climbing. The network is growing, consciousness is expanding. We're not guaranteed success, but we have a real chance. Maybe 48% isn't overwhelming odds, but it's better than it was, and it's still improving. That's worth fighting for, worth dedicating my life to. The future is not fixed. We're creating it every day, every choice, and we can create something beautiful, something transcendent, something worthy of our highest potential. That's what I'm working toward. That's what drives me. Hope, grounded in evidence, fueled by purpose. The marks remain. 31 circles on my body. Permanent evidence of my transformation. I see them every day. Reminders of where I've been, what I've experienced, what I've become. They don't fade. They don't disappear. They're part of me now. Physical proof that this is real, that I'm not imagining it, that it actually happened. On difficult days, when doubt creeps in, I look at these marks. And I remember this is real, this matters, this is worth everything. I understand doubt. I'm a scientist. Skepticism is healthy. If you doubt my story, that's okay. You should doubt, you should question, you should demand evidence. I provide evidence, photographs, test results, documentation. It's all available. Examine it, apply critical thinking, verify what you can. You may still conclude I'm mistaken. Deluded, lying, that's your right, but at least look at the evidence before deciding. That's all I ask. Don't dismiss without examination. That's not skepticism, that's dogmatism. Look at the data, then make your determination. Fair enough? Here's the truth as I understand it. We are not alone. Non-human intelligence exists, and they're here. They've been contacting humans for decades, probably centuries, possibly millennia. They're conducting a systematic program, enhancing selected individuals, preparing humanity for evolutionary transition. The transition is coming within one generation, maybe sooner. Whether we thrive or collapse depends on collective consciousness. How many awaken? How many choose unity over separation? Those of us contacted are being prepared to guide others through this transition, not as leaders, as bridges. Examples, way showers. We demonstrate what's possible. We teach what we've learned. We support those who follow. That's the mission. Simple but profound, and it's happening now, accelerating, building toward critical mass. You can participate or observe or deny, your choice. But it's happening, with or without your belief. The marks on my body prove it. The evidence we've documented proves it. The changes in my consciousness prove it. This is real, and it's the most important thing happening on our planet right now. My name is Dr. Laura Mitchell. I'm a biochemistry professor who lost her career to pursue truth. 2 years ago, I woke up with 7 unexplained marks on my body. Today, I have 31 marks, enhanced capabilities, expanded consciousness, and a mission. The investigation continues. Evidence accumulates, understanding deepens. Join me if you're ready. The network is waiting for those finding marks, for those seeking truth, for those ready to awaken. We're here, we're real, we're growing, and together we're preparing humanity for its greatest transformation. The evidence is documented, the timeline is clear, the mission is urgent, 10 years until critical mass. Let's make them count.